Hi, I'm Chris, and today we're going to take the Twin Highway Unwind and make it into an underground roundabout. It works kind of like this. Firstly, the Twin Highway Unwind is this configuration. It takes two highways that are both packed with traffic. When you're looking at intersections, only trust people who are showing you intersections that are packed with traffic. Otherwise, you haven't really learned anything about how effective the thing is. The way the Twin Highway Unwind works is any car coming from any angle can go through this sort of roundabout and get into any of the exit highways. And these, in turn, can be made to split into three roads that can feed any area of the city. Doing this causes your cars to use all of their lanes. Now, this is a wonderful little intersection to feed, say, three sectors of a city. And you might want to do that with an arrangement where the highways run underground. So what we're going to do is quickly produce a three-highway unwind that will take all of this traffic and send it underground where you don't have to look at it. And it works like this. This road is going to come over here, go underground, swirl around, and hook up with this road. It has to cross over. Then there will be a split with a side road coming after this, and this road goes underground and swerves around to connect with the straight through path. Then there are two little on-ramps that are the secret to the two-highway unwind. We're going to use the freeform road for this. And we're going to want to go into roughly the center of the area before going underground. Page down gets you underground. And with this turn, be very careful to not make it be too tight. If it's too tight, the cars are going to slow down and not be able to maintain the kind of speed they'll need. We're coming pretty smoothly here. And as you can see, I'm passing underneath this area. And we'll come out there. Now we can still look at what we've got under here by hitting page down again. That'll show us what we've got. Now this is probably a fine time to take this and break it out into a side road. The easiest way to do that, you don't want to follow the direction with this road because you've got to take a slight angle first. That is giving me a possible road, so I'm taking the shallowest angle I can, and then at this point I'm going to head out to about here and come up to the surface. Now I've got the split of this highway, and what I need to do is run this one out to the same basic area. I think that's roughly where I went. And go underground. And again, be careful not to make a sharp angle, because if you make a sharp angle, it's going to really resist it's basically going to resist the cars. They're going to fight to slow down, and you don't want that. So now take this over to around here maybe. And here is where I will go up. There, now we've got the split and the way this one breaks off to two sides, and then this one goes straight through to the center. Now all that remains is taking a highway ramp and crossing these 2 points. And I'm going to go to the straight road for this because there's no special reason I need to use the sharper one. And remember, this has to be at a sharp enough angle, because if it's too straight, it won't actually work. Not only that, you probably want to place it at one of these stop points, because these are the traffic points where the cars can decide whether to change lanes or not. And it's going to let me do that. I'm not sure whether I can... I can find another choke point there. If I placed it where it wasn't snapping to an intersection, it will create another intersection to snap to. So this is probably going to be fine. And then we pick one over here and do the same thing. We're probably looking for a snap to point, and I'm fortunate enough that I've got a snap to point at a pretty decent angle. And now what we've got is this one swooping around, breaking off to this side, but also breaking off to this side. If somebody wants to get onto this road, they have to be in the far right lane to exit. If they want to be on this road, they're going to be in one of the left lanes, because they're going to avoid this exit point. With this one, if they want to go over here, they're going to be in the far left lane to take the left exit, and then they'll stay in the right lane to get over here. If they want to get to this road, they're going to be in the far left lane, take a left exit, and then make their way over to... Well, probably they're going to stay to the right, because the thing is, this functions as a rotary. You can keep going around this all day long. It is a kind of roundabout. But what we can see is that this is a very high efficiency roundabout. The cars aren't slowing down very much, except, well, this point is possibly a choke point. What we're seeing here is that this is such a steep bit that they're slowing down a lot in order to make that turn. So I'm wondering whether maybe I might... I've got my ramp selected. Find and bulldoze this little on-ramp, and we're going to see whether we can make a sharper angle. We'll take that angle, and we're going to push it just as far as we possibly can. I don't mind whether I'm making another connection. It's not going to the exact points. In fact, let's do exactly the same thing here, because this is part of the trick of City Skylines roadways. And yeah, part of the trick is also being able to select the roads. But we're going to try to run as far over as we can. Actually, you know something? Let's see whether I can have something interesting happening here. Like, for instance... Aha! Now that's interesting. I just forced the angles to be as shallow as I could. I'm going to also go back and redo this one, specifically so that I can try to compel it to make the kind of road that I want. It's not going to let me do this, but I can compel it to go as steeply out here as I can, and then let's make this a curve just to smooth that out. And we're going to see what kind of angle. That might have been too far of a stretch. Go a little shorter out to make the angle be steeper. And keep an eye out for the angle at which these join. Now this is potentially another choke point, because the thing is, if somebody is trying to go through both of these, they're going to have to get across the highway in a big hurry. And they need a little more space to do that, so we're going to clear that right off and go back to our straight road to get the best angle I possibly can out of this. I want it to be the steepest angle I can make, and not much of a turn, just enough to force it to be a smooth curve. And I'm just looking here to see what kind of angle this joins the road with. There, now having done that, these are the shallowest off-ramps I can get, but there's a little tiny space here in case somebody is coming from here. Namely, they start off on this road. Actually, there's an interesting point to that, because if you start off on this road and need to go all the way around, you're on this roundabout. So basically, if somebody was coming from here, there's essentially no reason that anybody would need to take both of these unless they were going around and around for no reason. So some of that was just kind of useless, but the point of it remains that if you were here and wanted to go back over to here, you would be taking this, and then you'd have only this amount of highway to change into the far left lane and go here. But the point also remains that in order to be doing that, you'd have to want to get off of this, and you'd have to start off on this. Otherwise, you'd be on this road and you'd only have to make this turn. So there's basically no reason for anybody from either highway to go through both of these. Anyhow, let's watch it go. And we can see that they're handling this corner pretty smoothly. They don't have to decelerate too much to go around to hit these ramps. And as a result, the entire thing continues to go pretty well. That's the point of making fantasy intersections. It's not really to make them look a particular way, it's to make the traffic flow a particular way. We can see the traffic measuring, and it's handling this entire flow without any difficulty whatsoever. But then I expected that. It's going to take a lot more to upset this intersection. And we've got, in addition to our nice quiet lack of ambulances, yes, I listened to people's complaints about that. We have a nice, clear, central area, which you could put parks and things in. Or you could conceivably have this be a utilities area where you're putting things like hospitals, perhaps, fire stations, pretty much any utility that needs to get somewhere you can put in this area. And if you feed them into one of these highways, they can reach any of the destinations very, very, very quickly. Perhaps we'll try a tiny bit of that, just to see how it works. But point being, we have our way for the emergency vehicles to be in this central area and dump themselves right into this area and have access to wherever they want to go to right from there. They just pump right in there and then swirl around and go to wherever they're needed. And clearly they're very needed, because look at this terrible place. But this is the traffic lab. So this is not a actual game that's being played like a Let's Play. This basically goes to hell in its own way while I play with the intersections. Now you'll notice that there is one significant problem here with placing things in this immediate area. Highways are better used as aggregators of traffic. This is not a good way of arranging it. This is just the feeder system for the highway area. But what we've got here is a markedly increased traffic problem where they're not using all of the lanes anymore because we have this on and off ramp right here. It's a lot better to feed this sort of circulatory system elsewhere. In fact, we're going to experiment with that right now, because you can see for yourself this area is starting to jam up a little bit because they're being forced into 2 lanes only. The cars don't have enough room, they don't have enough space to form the 3 lanes they're going to need to have this intersection run perfectly smoothly. Stuff is happening too soon. Stuff is happening too near the area we're concerned about. And that's a considerable problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to move these things back away from this area and assume that since it's the highway, you've only got, what, 10 seconds or so of travel to get from here to here, but you need that 10 seconds of travel in order to be able to change the lanes and use the full 3 lanes at once. And literally what we're going to see here is I'm forcing it to use the 3 lanes again. Exactly the situation that seems so daunting and impossible to many people. Force the emergency vehicles to go all the way over here and enter on this side road. There are probably not enough of them to be jammed up, and then this is where they get back into this area. Now watch what happens. We've got our full 3 lanes back again. And as a result, this area is not getting clogged up again, because they're forming the lanes that they're going to need before they even get into this intersection area. You got to give them enough time to move to where they need to go. There's only so many spots that they can use, and I can show you where the spots are. In a previous video I illustrated that they can only change lanes on the edges of these upgrade roads sections. For instance, this is a large area. They can only change lanes in the beginning or the end of this, the point where they intersect. So there you have it, really. The Traffic Lab brings you the underground to highway unwind. And again, if you want to use this to feed city areas, your best bet there is to run the highways to wherever you want them and burst them out using this technique, the 3-lane off-ramp, because that'll force all of the lanes to be used, and from here you burst out into whatever smaller roads you've got. And then in these areas you do whatever it is that you need to do in order to cause the highway to behave itself, or to cause the roadways to behave themselves. You have a lot more freedom of action here. But these areas want to follow this basic design of highways with right and left exits, and bursting outwards into multiple areas. You should be able to see highways this packed and this free of traffic problems. And you don't have to make a million tiny roundabouts connecting each other to do it. Thanks for your time. I'll talk to you later.